Good evening, one and all. We welcome you all to the International Webinar Series on Holistic Health, Well-being and Sustainable Development 2022-2023, commemorating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, nation celebrating 76 years of independence, United Nations Sustainable Development Goals 2015 to 2030 as part of awareness and campaigns. In collaboration with Sri Holistic Health Foundation India and Sri Research Institute Center for Art, Sciences and Wellbeing. Before we start our sessions, let's take the blessings of Almighty.
कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शत्रुबुद्धिविनाशाय दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते दीपज्योतिर्नमोऽस्तुते शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः शुभं कुरुत्वं कल्याणम् आरोग्यं धनसम्पदः.
With the blessings of Almighty, we shall continue with today's sessions. Today, we are commemorating World Teachers Day. 5th October is annually commemorated, celebrated as World Teachers Day. To celebrate all the teachers around the globe, it commemorates the anniversary of the adoption of 1966 ILO and UNESCO recommendation concerning the status of teachers, which sets benchmarks regarding the rights and responsibilities of teachers and standards for their initial preparation and further education, recruitment, employment, and teaching and learning conditions. The recommendation concerning the status of higher education teaching personnel was adopted in 1997 to complement in the 1966 recommendation by covering teaching personnel in higher education. World Teachers Day has been celebrated since 1994. It is a day to celebrate how teachers are transforming education, but also to reflect on support they need to fully deploy their talent and vocation, and to rethink the way ahead for the profession globally. World Teachers Day is co-convened in partnership with the International Labour Organization, ILO, UNICEF, and Education International. We call upon to ensure that teaching is transformed everywhere into a more attractive and valorized profession, where teachers are valued, trusted, and adequately supported to meet the needs of every learner. Bold actions must be taken if we are to reverse the current decline and successfully increase teachers' numbers. Being a teacher provides a unique opportunity to make a transformative and lasting impact on the lives of others, contributing to shaping sustainable futures and offering a personal fulfillment. However, the world faces an unprecedented global teacher shortage, exacerbated by a decline in their working conditions and status. With the theme, "The Teacher We Need for the Education We Want," The global imperative to reverse the teacher shortage in 2023 celebrations will aim to put the importance of stopping the decline in number of teachers and then starting to increase the number at the top of the global agenda. Through various activities, they will advocate for a dignified and valued teaching profession, analyze their challenges, and showcase inspiring practices to attract, refrain, and motivate teachers and educators. It will also examine the ways in which education systems, societies, communities, and families recognize, appreciate, and actively support teachers. The recommendations concerning the status of teachers, which was made by UNICEF on 5th October 1996 in Paris, France. Today we are commemorating World Teachers' Day on this occasion. The special intergovernmental conference on the status of teachers, recalling that the right to education is a fundamental human right. Conscious of the responsibility of the states for the provision of proper education for all, in fulfillment of Article 26 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, of Principles 5, 7, and 10 of the Declaration of the Rights of the Child and of the United Nations Declaration concerning the promotion among youth of the ideals of peace, mutual respect, and understanding between peoples, aware of the need for the more extensive and widespread general, technical, and vocational education, with a view to making full use of the talent and intelligence available as an essential contribution to continued moral and cultural progress and economic and social development, advancement, recognizing the essential role of teachers in educational advancement and importance of their contribution to the development of man and modern society, concerned to ensure that teachers enjoy the status commensurate with the role, taking into account the great diversity of the laws, regulations, and customs, which in different countries determine the patterns and organization of education. Taking also into account the diversity of the arrangements which in different countries apply to teaching staff in particular, according to whether regulations concerning the public service apply to them, convinced that in spite of all these differences, similar questions arise in all countries with regard to the status of teachers, and that these questions call for the application of set of common standards and measures, which it is the purpose of these recommendations to set out, noting the terms of existing international conventions which are applicable to teachers, and in particular of the instruments concerned with basic human rights such as freedom of association and protection of the right to organize convention, 1948, the right to organize and collective bargaining convention, 1949, the Equal Remuneration Convention, 1951, and the Discrimination, Employment and Occupation Convention, 1958, adopted by the General Conference of the International Labour Organization, and the Convention Against Discrimination in Education, 1960, adopted by the General Conference of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. Noting also the recommendations on various aspects of the preparation and the status of teachers in primary and secondary schools adopted by the International Conference on Public Education, convened jointly by the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization and the International Bureau of Education, and the recommendation concerning technical and vocational education 1962, adopted by the General Conference of the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, desiring to supplement existing standards by provisions relating to the problems of peculiar concern to teachers and to remedy the problems of teacher shortage, has adopted this recommendation. For the purpose of recommendations, the word teacher covers all those persons in schools who are responsible for the education of pupils. The expression status, as used in the relation to teachers, means both the standing or regard accorded to them, as evidenced by the level of appreciation of the importance of their function and of their competence in performing it, and the working conditions, remuneration, and other material benefits accorded them relative to other professional groups. The scope, the recommendation applies to all teachers in both public and private schools up to the completion of the secondary stage of education, whether nursery, kindergarten, primary, intermediate, or secondary, including those providing technical, vocational, or art education. The guiding principles are: education from the earliest school years should be directed to all-round development of the human personality and to the spiritual, moral, social, cultural, and economic progress of the community, as well as to inclusion of deep respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. Within the framework of these values, the utmost importance should be attached to the contribution to be made by education. It should be recognized that advance in education depends largely on the qualifications and the ability of teaching staff in general and on the human, pedagogical, and technical qualities of the individual teachers. The status of teachers should be commensurate with the needs of education as assessed in the light of educational aims and objectives. It should be recognized that the proper status of teachers and due public regard to the profession of teaching are of major importance for full realization of these aims and objectives. Teaching should be regarded as a profession. It is a form of public service which requires teachers' expert knowledge and specialized skills acquired and maintained through rigorous and continuing study. It calls also for the sense of personal and corporate responsibility for the education and welfare of the pupils in their change. All aspects of the preparation and employment of teachers should be free from any form of discrimination on grounds of race, color, sex, religion, political opinion, national or social origin, or economic condition. Working conditions for the teachers should be such as will be best promote effective learning and enable teachers to concentrate on their professional tasks. Teachers' organization should be recognized as a force which can continue greatly to the education advance and which therefore should be associated with the determination of educational policy. Appropriate measures should be taken in each country to the extent necessary to formulate comprehensive educational policies consistent with the guiding principles, drawing on all available resources, human and otherwise. In so doing, the competent authorities should take account of the consequences for the teachers of the following principles and objectives. It is the fundamental right of every child to be provided with fullest possible educational opportunities. Due attention should be provided to the children requiring special educational treatment. All the facilities should be made equally to enable every person to enjoy the right to education without discrimination on grounds of sex, race, color, religion, political opinion, national or social origin, or economic condition. Since education is a service of fundamental importance in the general public interest, it should be recognized as a responsibility of the state, which should provide an adequate network of schools, free education in these schools, and since education is an essential factor in economic growth, educational planning should form an integral part of the total economic and social planning undertaken to improve living conditions. Since education is a continuous process, the various branches of teaching service should be so coordinated as both to improve the quality of education and the pupils to enhance the status of teachers. There should be free access to the flexible system of schools, property interrelated, so that nothing restricts the opportunities for each child to progress to any level in any type of education. As an educational objective, no state should be satisfied with mere quantity, but should seek also to improve quality. In education, both long-term and short-term planning and programming are necessary. The efficient integration in the community of today's peoples will depend more on future needs than on present requirements. All educational planning should include at each stage yearly coordinated, systematic, and continuing research and action in the field of teacher preparation and in service training are essential, including all the international level cooperative projects and in exchange of research findings. There should be close cooperation between the competent authorities, organizations of teachers, of employers and workers, and of parents, as well cultural organizations and institutions of learning and research for the purpose of defining educational policy and its precise objectives. As the achievement of aims and objectives of education largely depends on the financial means available to it, high priority should be given in all countries to setting aside within the national budgets an adequate proportion of the national income for the development of education, for the preparation of profession, selection, teachers preparation program. Fundamentally, a teacher preparation program should include general studies, study of the main elements of philosophy, psychology, sociology as applied to education, the theory and history of education and of comparative education, experimental pedagogy, school administration, and methods of teaching and various subjects. studies related to students' intended field of teaching, practice in teaching and is conducting extracurricular activities under the guidance of fully qualified teachers. The context of teacher preparation programs may reasonably vary according to the task the teachers are required to perform in different types of schools, such as establishment for handicapped children or technical or vocational schools. In the latter case, the programs might include some practical experience to be acquired in industry, commerce, or agriculture. A teacher preparation program may provide for a professional course either concurrently with or subsequent to a course of person, academic or specialized education or skill cultivation. Teacher preparation institutions, the staff of preparation institutions should be qualified to teach in their own discipline at a level equivalent to that of higher education. The staff teaching pedagogical subjects should have had experience of teaching in schools and wherever possible should have this experience of periodically refreshed by secondment to teaching duties in schools. Students as well as staff should have the opportunity of expressing their views on the arrangements governing the life, work, and discipline of a teacher preparation situation. Further education for teachers should be recognized in-service education designed to secure a systematic improvement of the quality and content of the education and of teaching techniques. Teachers should be given both the opportunities and the incentives to participate in courses and facilities and should take full advantage of them. It would be desirable that measures taken for the preparation and further education of teachers should be downloaded and where teacher enjoys a status which is in certain aspects more favorable than the provided for it, this recommendation term should not be invoked to diminish the status already granted. So on this World Teachers' Day, we pay our gratitude to all the teachers, to the acharyas, to the gurus, to the teachers, the professors, and all the gurus, teachers across the world. Happy World Teachers' Day. Almost everybody has a favorite teacher, someone who went above and beyond to encourage you because they could see your potential on October 5th. Take time to celebrate World Teachers, a global event launched by United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization in 1994. Considering that teachers mold future generations, taking one day every year to say thank you is the best we can do. No matter where you are in the world today, remember the teachers matter. Become teacher yourself. Educators from around the world fund students to learn and becoming one of them. So World Teachers Day is held annually, as already informed, on October 5th, since its first observation way back in 1990. This holiday marks the anniversary of the adoption of 1966 UNESCO recommendations concerning the status of teachers. It sets standards regarding the rights and responsibilities of teachers for the initial preparation, further education, recruitment, employment, and learning conditions. UNESCO, with the theme Young Teachers, the Future of Profession, we recognize the critical importance of reaffirming the value of teaching mission. We call upon governments to make teaching a profession of the first choice of young people. Above all, we celebrate the work of dedicated teachers around the world who continue to strive every day to ensure that inclusive, equitable, quality education and the promotion of lifelong learning opportunities for all become a reality in every corner of the globe. We have Teachers' Day being celebrated across the world on different dates. Though today is World Teachers' Day, but Teachers' Day is celebrated. For example, in Chile, it is known as Dia del Maestro, Teachers' Day. After being moved from a few times, Chile finally settled on October 16 to honor their Teachers Association. Costa Rica used this date to commemorate Mauro Fernandez Acuna, a reformer of education in their country, on December 22nd. New Zealand choose to honor their teachers at the end of October each year on October 29th. South Korea, teachers are usually represented with carnations by their students and ex-students on May 15th every year. In India, the share of female teachers declines with the remoteness of schools from 60% when the school is located at the local government seat to 30% when it is 30 kilometers away. More teachers are needed in displacement settings. If all refugees enrolled, Turkey would need 80,000 additional teachers. Germany would need 42,000 teachers and educators, and Uganda would need 7,000 additional primary teachers. Yet refugee teachers are often excluded from national training programs because of professional regulations on right to work. Nearly 94% of the teachers in pre-primary education, but only about half of these in upper secondary education are female. The proportion of women among the primary school teachers in low-income countries, 41%, is half that in high-income countries, 82%. In low-income countries, only 23% of secondary school teachers are women. At the tertiary level, only 19% of the teachers are women in low-income countries and above 46% of or less in another income groups. So it was UNESCO who first proclaimed October 5th to be the World's Teacher Day back in 1994. National Teachers Day is also observed on the first Tuesday of the full week in May. World Teachers Day is celebrated on October 5th every year. So if you want to honor your teacher, there are many ways to do so. We recommend finding a thoughtful way to say thank you for all they have done and they are sure to love. Kids can show their appreciation by giving their teacher a heartfelt thank you card or surprising them with homemade crafts or drawings or by writing a poem of admiration. Parents love teachers too. Show them just much on World Teachers Day. Collaborate with your local PTA to set up a raffle with gift cards, coffee mugs, and other prizes. Provide coffee and donuts or ask parents to set up a potluck breakfast for teachers before the school day begins. Being a teacher can be stressful, exhausting, and frustrating. On World Teachers Day, school administration should pamper their teachers, having lunch created or surprising teachers with a 10-minute massage are great ways to let teachers know their hard work doesn't go unnoticed. If October 5 falls on a weekend, celebrate on the Friday before the Monday after. Historically, Confucius is considered to be the first private teacher in the history in the West. Of course, we have in India, we have teachers who were parents themselves, were the first teachers. And then we had our acharyas, gurus who were teachers, and so on. So according to UNESCO, the world needs 69 million teachers in order to achieve the goal of providing universal primary and secondary education by 2030. The number of African educators are dwindling on the continent. Sub-Saharan Africa is the area facing greatest deficit of teachers. According to the UNESCO, less than 75% of the teachers in 1/3 of the world's countries only meet the minimum teacher training standards, and teachers' standards are plummeting. 6 out of 10 children worldwide, a total of 617 million, do not meet the minimum requirements for competency in mathematics and reading. Learning proficiency is down. This all is attributed to the lack of proper teachers' training and continuing teachers' education. And also, at times, due to improper infrastructure and learning opportunities for the teachers. So waking up at a crack of dawn, having the patience of a saint and being a positive influence in stressful work. Let's face it. And there are different ways to show you care for your teacher. It highlights current issues affecting teachers this day. Having summers off is a highly coveted pair, but there are still more complex issues affecting teachers within the educational systems throughout the world. These include maintaining academic freedoms, creating autonomy for educational institutions, and developing and maintaining professional teaching standards in higher education. Fortunately, World Teachers Day enables discussion in faculty meetings, webinars, seminars, and conferences. Although the educational system and the role teachers play in it have come a long way. This is still a long way to go. Because of this, United Nations created the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals for Education. World Teachers Day is an annual reminder of this goal and need to do more to encourage teachers to remain in education. So with this, we end the commemoration of World Teachers' Day. And once again, we congratulate all the teachers and express our gratitude to all our teachers who were doing wonderful job even today and transforming lives. Today is also commemorated as World Meningitis Day, which was used to be celebrated on April 24th every year. But in 2022, the date changed to October 5th, so that the maximum number of people can be part of the celebration. This day is celebrated worldwide to raise awareness about the disease meningitis, which is a condition in which protective membranes that surround the brain and spinal cord become inflamed, that is, swell. It is crucial to understand the origin of meningitis because treatment varies based on the reason. In ancient literature, meningitis is mentioned. In his writings, Hippocrates discussed meningitis. Sir Robert Witt, an Edinburgh physician, first diagnosed tuberculosis meningitis in a posthumous report published in 1768. However, it took around 100 years to identify the link between tuberculosis and tubercle bacilli. It's difficult to estimate how long meningitis has been a part of our life with certainty because the medical capabilities to diagnose the condition are relatively new in human history. Hippocrates, a great scholar, was first to notice that what could have been meningitis when he noticed inflammation of the brain's lining. Thomas Williams, 1621 to 1675, who reported individuals with inflammation of the meningitis with a constant fever in 1660. This is one of the first accounts of meningitis that we can find. The term meningitis was developed in the early 1800s by the French and English physicians who combined the word meninges, the name of the brain lining, and the suffix it is, signifying inflammation. The first World Meningitis Day was held in 2008. The Confederation of Meningitis Organizations So if we can make World Meningitis Day an official health day, we will be able to see larger platform to reach out to more individuals with life-saving knowledge concerning meningitis. The reason for the change in when the day is celebrated is that the campaign was held in April and it was always sandwiched between two other major health programs, making it impossible for an additional partners to engage in a meaningful way. It is believed that by moving the dates, It is believed that by moving the date to October 5, more people will be able to unite around the same message and join the battle to indicate meningitis by 2030. Improved global recognition for the world meningitis is a part of World Health Organization's roadmap to defeat meningitis by 2030. The campaign is recognized as an important part of the advocacy and engagement theme, which aims to raise public and political attention about meningitis and its implications. So improved global recognition for World Meningitis Day is part of World Health Organization's roadmap to defeat meningitis by 2030. The campaign is recognized as an important part of the advocacy and engagement theme, which aims to raise public and political attention about meningitis and its implications. COMO is now in contact with World Health Organization on getting World Meningitis Day approved as official holiday. Burgundy is regarded as a color of meningitis awareness. It is darker wine-colored shade of red. In addition, the awareness ribbon color symbolizes disabled adults, headaches, and meningitis, and many other cases and causes. Any illness caused by the bacteria Neisseria meningitis is known as meningococcal disease. Infections of the lining of the brain and spinal cord. Meningitis, as well as infections of the bloodstream, are common and can be fatal. The World Meningitis Day can be celebrated by providing necessary information about the disease. You can write a letter to the government officials in your area so that action is raised. Different forms of meningitis put some people at increased risk. Different vaccines have been recommended for people of different age groups, while the origin vaccine declared to assist the body to fight off meningitis does not cure all the variants of the diseases. In addition to the well-known symptoms, meningitis can cause severe and long-term damage. The Total case fatality rate was 25% in a survey of 493 occurrences of bacterial meningitis in adults. Spread of meningitis, airborne droplets, and direct touch with an infected individual. Spread meaning of meningitis. Celebrating Meningitis Day helps normal people get to know about the disease and death rate. This creates a sense of care and affection for the patients and how they go through different phases. By celebrating Meningitis Day, patients about the disease make them feel loved, and they feel that they should gather their willpower and survive for their loved ones. Celebrating the day encourages people to not neglect. Today is commemorated as Portugal Republic Day, also known as implantation of the Republic in Portugal. This important day marks the overthrow of the monarchy, the House of Bragarca, in 1910. Unfortunately, the monarchy had been in power source since 11th century and was replaced by the republican form of government in a bloodless revolution. It also brought about civil and religious liberties. It is a public holiday with school, state offices, and stigma if it falls on the weekend. Today is also commemorated as National Rhode Island Day. It honors Rhode Island and the ideals that the state has upheld through the centuries. Today is also commemorated as National Military Podcast Day in US. It has a dual purpose. The goal is to honor the stories and experiences of ex-military men and women, as well as acknowledge their endurance, bravery, and survival. The healing power of chalking was one of the driving forces. This day aims to support veterans to share their stories and start building healing process. Broadcasting is certainly the perfect way to both entertain and enlighten Americans and those listening from around the world. Today is also commemorated as National Kiss a Wrestler Day and show your respect one of the world's oldest and youngest athletic endeavors. Mythology suggests that gods themselves created a wrestling. It demands all the elements on the athlete strives for speed, strength, valor, and so. Wrestling has been very strict weight classes and demands a rigorous diet in order for a wrestler to compete in agriculture division. Adjust your diet because wrestling has very strict diet classes and demands a rigorous diet in order for a wrestler to compete in appropriate division. Enjoy vegetables, avoid foods with high sodium and saturated fats, and watch your energy and strength so. Whether in the form of Sambo, Russia, Judo, Japan, or freestyle, USA and Great Britain. The different styles of wearing embrace cultural aspects of their places of origin and many. Wrestling is more popular than you think. High school wrestling ranks 6th in participation for all boys sports. Wrestling generates income for colleges, all NCAA championships. Colleagues, wrestling ranks Today is also commemorated as National Get Funky Day in US. As one nation under a group, we have collective opportunity to pay homage to the power and majesty of the funk. We are not talking funk as in depressing, but the funk as it get happy and celebrate life. National Get Funky Day is the brainchild of Funky Town Fitness, a fitness center in St. Augustine, Florida. After Hurricane Matthew slammed into Florida, a group of Funky Town fitness folks assembled to create National Get Funky Day every year on October 5th as a way to help people break free of their comfort zones. Today, making it funky a way you want as long as you want. Today is also commemorated as Do Something Nice Today in the US. Make your friends and family smile on the October 5th on National Do Something Nice Day. The holiday recognizes us to perform acts of kindness for strangers or loved ones or both. It is a beacon of so caught up in our own stresses and struggles that we forget to show kindness to others. This is a great reminder that doing good deeds make the world better and might even help you better manage your own troubles in process. So celebrate with us. Get involved in a local organization in your community if you have trouble deciding how or where to volunteer. Consider what your strongest skills are and how you can use them to help others. If you are great at Constitution, lend a hand to Habit for Humanity. If you are a web developer, offer coding skills to a charitable organization and needs a website to revamp or teach local kids and some programming basics. In most communities, these are local soup kitchens or homeless shelters that can always use the help of kind, compassionate people. Extend a small gesture and kindness to let a stranger know you care. Pay the bill of the person behind you in a line at a coffee shop. Or if you see someone crying alone in the public, offer them a dish. Or if the situation calls for it, some other kind of assistance. If someone thanks you for the good deed, ask them to pay it forward by helping someone else who needs it. When the time is right, no matter what, keep spreading the goodwill. Call someone you care about. Out of blue, just let them know how much you mean to you. They mean to you. It just make their day. So if you know someone who is going through a hard time in life, gently check in with them and let them know that you are on. Let them know that they are on your mind. If you can swing it, send them a bouquet or drop of a homemade meal. Your personal attention can make a world of difference. A random of actness can make a much stronger impact than you might think. Your choice to hold a door open for a stranger or return a missing wallet may be one positive thing to happen to the recipient that day. For all we know, that person may be failing or feeling lonelier than ever or losing faith in goodness of the world. A small positive act on your part may change the person's world and pretty powerful. Research has repeatedly found that helping others helps you too. Giving back to community or doing a good deed lights up your brain's pleasure center and then prompt a rush of feel-good chemicals. Scientists aren't sure why kindness feels so good, but it's been theorized that they need to help others is something prehistoric human developed to ensure the survival of their social group. Helping others is a part of very essence of who we are. Doing a small good deed is a great way to remind ourselves that we can make a difference. And it's easy to feel helpless in the face of the world's many troubles. But every single one of us can make at least a small impact on someone else's life. That's an incredible feeling. Today is commemorated as National Depression Screening Day. In US, roughly 40 million adults in US struggle with depression or anxiety, not to mention the family, friends, and co-workers that are also impacted. National Depression Screening Day is held annually on October 5th. It's important for many reasons. First, it can help people make an informed diagnosis. It also drags depression out of darkness. And perhaps most important, it can bring help to those that need it. The National Mental Health Act became law, creating the National Institute of Mental Health in 1946, which was a major legislation on mental health was passed in US. Mental Health Week was launched in 1949. America's first Mental Health Week focused on the symptoms and impacts of depression and anxiety. Eventually, Mental Health Week becomes Mental Health Month. First National Depression Screening Day. Community schools, military bases, and workplaces were encouraged to institute depression screening in 1991. The US Preventive Services Task Force updated its recommendations on screening. Now, all the adults should be screened for depression as part of the primary care in 2009 since then. So for those suffering symptoms, the National Depression Screening Day has a choice to learn how to manage them. For those who do not suffer from depression, learn how to help someone else. Most people probably know someone suffering from depression. Reach out to them and let them know you support their battle. Whether or not you suffer from depression, use this day to fight back, learn about volunteer opportunities, or just write a Facebook post and the battle against depression and let others know you, understand, and care. So signs, it's depression, not just sadness. You feel empty. Sadness can certainly be a sign, but once you start experiencing or empty feeling, you might be able to tell that it's depression. You are away from more irritable than usual. Feelings of restlessness or excessive irritability can be signs of depression. You are getting really thin if you experience significant weight loss. Without trying or without a diet, you could be depressed. You are thinking about death. If you find yourself focusing on death or suicide, with or without specific plan, seek help. You may be very likely to be depressed. You are having trouble concentrating. Depression can make it harder for you. But depression can make it harder for you to focus on tasks at hand and can also make it difficult for you to make decisions. Are you depressed? Healthcare professionals meet with people who are suffering from symptoms to help them understand their feelings and diagnose their condition. Teaching everyone about the signs, symptoms, and effects of depression helps us understand. It also puts helpful resources in the hands of more people. Even those who aren't suffering from depression can be impacted by it. It fights a stigma. Depression and anxiety disorders are still largely viewed as something to hide. On this day, communities come together to learn about depression together. All of this helps fight the negative stigmas around the depression. Today is also commemorated as National Caribbean Civility Day. In US, humanitarians are honored for their contributors to the goals of peace, progress in a grand award ceremony hosted by World Civility President Club. People of all ages attend this prestigious event. The club honors understanding our personal feelings can assist us in evaluating the things that emotionally trigger us, allowing us to uh, become more aware and in tune with how we could, and may react and feel in certain situations. Being open to talking the time to understand our thoughts and emotions. And these situations can lead to self-recognition and acceptance of how the same or similar situations may affect others, including those with entirely different perspectives. For example, the National Archives recently recognized Revered Dr. Sharon Stiles Sanders for establishing Emotional Civility Day to help the world acknowledge a connection between the way we feel and how we interact with others. The National Caribbean Civility Day established by the World Civility Presidential Club in 2020, which honors humanitarians who took to bring the peace, reconciliation to the Caribbean. Every year there is a glitzy award ceremony at which society members are celebrated for their noble achievements. It is a highlight in the social calendars of the Caribbean community, and many young people have emerged from the club to go on to become businessmen, leaders, government officials, and great orators. Today is commemorated as National Be Nice Day in US. People come together to celebrate National Be Nice Day. It's a no barrier that we should be nice, rich, each and every day. But unfortunately, today is also commemorated as National Apple Betty Day in US. To celebrate this yummy dessert baked in oats and cinnamon. The American version, Brown Betty or simply Betty, of what's sometimes called a cobbler, apple crisp or crumble, dates back to colonial period. The sweet aroma of an apple betty fills hormones with warmth even as the temperature plummets outside. The timing couldn't be better. The tart applies fresh off the tree, almost begging to be used for the autumn fest. Betty is a traditional dessert in the US. As the name implies, it is usually made with apples, but other recipes might adopt pears or berries. Brown Betty belongs to the same family as apple crisps and cobblers. sweetened crabs, today is also commemorated as National Above the Bus Day in US. It's your choice to acknowledge the acts of kindness and service by the people in your life. It's all about giving credit where it's due and making sure our sense of our services by people in our life, in your life. It is all about giving credit when it is due and making sure our unassuming loved ones get their moment in the sun. On this day, you can get compliment someone at work, help out a friend, or speak up for someone at a gathering. Whichever way you do it, make sure you do get most people have good intentions behind their actions, but this is not always the case. People are sometimes thrown under the bus as a result of this. There aren't enough days when people selflessly evaluate and celebrate the success of others, especially when those accomplishments are small and unknown. National Above the Bus Day draws attention to those extraordinary people and their deeds. Today is also commemorated as Kiribati Education Day, and it doesn't have a fixed date, and this year it is celebrated on October 5th. The day is determined by the government of Kiribati and depends on which day World Teachers' Day falls. Kiribati is a remote island situated in the Pacific Ocean that has a population of just over 12,000. A small collection of islands, the Kiribati nation was subjugated by the British Empire shortly after Europeans made contact with the island in the 17th century. Known as the British Western Pacific Territories, Kiribati was enveloped in a cluster of regions and became one of the many islands under the rule of the Crown. It was only 1916 that the Crown formally acknowledged the island and it became an individual crown colony. It wasn't until after the Second World War, a brief occupation of the islands by Japan, that Kiribati, formerly known as the Gilbert Islands, gained independence. Throughout much of the Kiribati's history, the colonial development of agriculture and its transport was a primarily focus. When the island officially became self-governing. There were also little infrastructure and development outside of rural farming. Education has since been a primary focus, a resource that people can utilize and exploit to build themselves out of poverty and circumstances. Education Day in Kiribati is an important part of the nation understand of how important education is for all. So for many, education is just a part of life. We simply see it a gateway to university and future careers. However, for many others, education is a gift. We should all be more mindful of how powerful access to education can be and is. Say thank you to everyone that they had a hand in your education. There is in their education. This is an immense amount of work that goes into a functioning educational system that delivers. Pick up a free short course and broaden your horizons. Education is everywhere, not just in a classroom. So go out and learn while you are still able to do so. Kiribati is the only nation that sits in all four hemispheres, north, south, east, and west. It's not just one island. Kiribati incorporated many smaller islands into its territory when it gained independence, with 33 islands making up the country's landmass. Kiribati takes its name from the rendition of Gilbert, its former name in the local Kiribati language. Profits from mineral export during colonization were saved, and the money now sits in the reserve, and the interest helps fund government programs and initiatives, which from Kiribati's trust fund. All the islands in Kiribati are dominated by coconut palms. The native population relies heavily on the coconut palm to support their diets, the nuts, the tree saps, and they even brew a strong alcoholic beverage from a combination of fermented coconut. Kiribati is a poverty-stricken country with its remote location and mainly agricultural economy. For many, education is the only way to a better and brighter future, and they honor possibility with education. Today is also commemorated as 05 Constitution Day. In Vanuatu is a Pacific Island Republic of Vanuatu. It commemorates the signing of country's constitution in 1979. The signing of the constitution would pave the way for Vanuatu's independence from France and the United Kingdom on July 30, 1980. Is a day that marks as a pivotal point towards the country's sovereignty after the years of struggle, showcasing the unity of Vanuatu's leaders in pursuing common goal. Vanuatu is a volcanic archipelago of 83 islands located in South Pacific Ocean. It is mainly stood as a place dominated by local chieftains and tribes before arrival of Europeans around the 16th century. In 19th century, France and United Kingdom attempted to take control of the island chain, then known as New Hebrides. In 1906, both countries agreed to share control of islands through a unique Anglo-French condominium that grants both countries colonial power. During this period, Vanuatu was primarily used as a plantation hub, but its condominium government proved to be highly ineffective due to persistently conflicting interests from both powers. Vanuatu's independence movement gained momentum in the 1960s following bungled efforts by both colonizing powers to economically develop the country. One particular point of the convention was the fact that the plantations were increasingly taking traditionally owned lands from the natives. The calls for independence began to grow louder after the arrest and release of Jimmy Stevens and Chief Paul Taribalu, prominent Vanuatuan leaders detained for opposing these land encroachments. So Constitution Day is celebrated and observed in the country by leaders delivering speeches, holding special commemorative ceremonies and special events taking place all over archipelago, and it is a day celebrating the document that signified the moment the country finally stood on its own. So take some time to read the Constitution. After all, the document that guarantees your basic rights, you always need to know your rights as a citizen to prevent anyone from attempting to ever violate them. As a show of your love for your country, fly your flag above your head proudly. The day commemorates the document that ensured status as an independent nation and moment people officially granted their national identity. So with this, we shall end the commemorations for the day. Thank you everyone for joining us. And we wish you all once again happy World Teachers to all the teachers. We request everyone to quickly fill up the feedback form, which is being raised in the form of polls. The registration link has been shared in the chat box. Yeah, the feedback form for today's session has been raised in the form of polls in Zoom. We request everyone before leaving to quickly fill up the feedback form. All the certificates of webinar series will be issued at once, so don't worry. Keep attending daily. So thank you once again. Take care. Good night.